Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. For those of you who don't know, my name is Samson, and in today's video, we have probably one of the most insane treats that I could possibly have gotten for you guys, especially considering that you rarely ever find these up for sale, especially when you do. It's almost impossible to be able to get next to them to actually interact with them. But before we get into it, if you're into all things automotive, gun related, and fitness related, make sure that you consider subscribing. We do it all. We go to shows, we do builds, we do car reviews, gun reviews, and we do a little bit of fitness content as well. So if you're into that type of thing, make sure that you consider subscribing. But in today's video, we have a 1991 Ferrari F40. Now, this Ferrari is the talk of legends. You guys can see, even with this car being over 30 years old, it still looks absolutely beautiful. It's absolutely timeless. Now, this is a part of Ferrari's more so hypercar lineup. And the reason why this one is so special is because it does have that connection with Enzo Ferrari being, for the most part, the last Ferrari hypercar wise that he was able to actually interact with. And so in today's video, we're going to go over some of the features of this one, some of the things that I think you guys really might like about it, some of the things that I definitely like about it. But just like that, guys, let's get into the video. All right, guys, coming to the front of this Ferrari, you can see it does have this absolutely beautiful wedge shape to it. And like I mentioned, guys, this car is absolutely timeless. I mean, you can barely find them, and when you do, it's always a treat to see them. They just have so much presence. You can see this one right here is fitted with this front splitter. Love how it doesn't stick out too much, just enough, and it does fit the car very well. Makes the whole front end of this design flow a whole lot better. You do get, of course, these vents in the front with this massive grille to help bring air to a lot of those ducts to help with cooling, because remember, the F40 is a mid-engine car. Now, coming up from these grills areas, you do have this little bit of trim that runs along the front of the car, which also helps with the styling, in my personal opinion. It has a little bit of a nice play on colors, allowing it to break up all this red that you see. You do get your Ferrari badge right there, front and center. And when we talk about the headlights, many people might not know, but the Ferrari F40 does have pop-up headlights. And so you do get these ones right here that are, you know, stationary. They don't move. You get your blinker, and of course you get your running light. And I like how they do have the little streaks across the headlight assembly right here as well with this fixed glass piece. But then coming back behind it, you do get these pop-up headlights right here on top of it. And so it does add like a nice little effect to have the pop-up lights right on top of your regular headlights. Now, moving from the headlights to the actual hood, you do get these NACA ducts. Now, one cool thing about NACA ducts is that they allow you to bring air in without creating a whole lot of extra drag like a hood scoop would do. And you are going to see NACA ducts basically as a recurring theme along the whole exterior of this Ferrari. Really beautiful setup with the hood, and I love that Ferrari went with these NACA ducts because I feel like it really does help add to that performance aspect of this F40. Moving to the side of this F40, you can see you do get these beautiful brushed aluminum wheels with this car. Now, you do get the center locking as well on the F40, and that's absolutely cool to see. When it comes to wheels, you're always accustomed to seeing a 4 or 5 lug pattern. And so when you do have these hypercars that have the center locking wheel, is really special to see, and it's very unique as well. And you do get a 17-inch wheel with 235 width tires. Now, these particular tires, not quite sure how safe they might be to drive on them. I know a lot of these cars sit for a while, and so they don't get driven, the wheels don't get changed. And so you might have some issues with them being a little bit too old, but overall, very nice setup to the wheels and tires. You do get Brembo calipers behind these wheel setup with these big rotors. And so you do get plenty of stopping power. Now, coming back from the wheels to the side of the car, you do get your latch for opening up this whole clamshell of a hood. It does lift up, this whole panel lifts up, and I gotta say, whenever it is just one person doing it, it is a little bit flimsy because the car is made out of a very light material of carbon fiber. However, nevertheless, very cool that the whole clamshell lifts up. You do get your Ferrari badge on the side, and you guys may also notice that you get a bit of an indentation right here, and that's because you do get venting along the side of your Ferrari F40, and that vent allows a little bit of that air that can get trapped in the wheel well be able to make its way out down the side of the vehicle, help reduce turbulence and also reduce lift. Very, very nice body lines going down the side of this F40. One thing that you may notice is that the line that goes down the side of this F40 is very similar to the line that you see on the LaFerrari. Very, very similar in design. Moving up from this line to this rear vent, like I mentioned, this is a rear engine car or mid-engine car, if you will. And so you do get this NACA duct that leads back here to the engine compartment, helping bring air to the rear of this car. And like I mentioned, you will see NACA ducts as a reoccurring theme all over this Ferrari F40. You also get another NACA duct right here, also bringing a little bit of air to those rear brakes to help cool them. Very, very nice side skirt carried over from the width, simulating from the actual front vent area. And moving down the side of the car, you also get another duct, not a NACA duct, but it is very similar, that leads again to the engine bay. And this one is up here near the actual passenger window. And so you guys can imagine just from the side view of this car, so many vents, so many ducts being able to bring air to the rear portion of this car, coming up from the side to the rear clamshell. You also get another NACA duct right here on the top, which actually leads down to some coolers to help make sure that the fluid within this car always stays cool. Now coming down to the wheel and tire setup, like how on these wheels, you have a bit more of a deeper dish setup. Very, very nice design with this lip right here. Again, it is center locking. On the wheels and tire setup, you do have a 17-inch rim, just like you get in the front, but in the back, you get 335 with tires. Very, very lovely design. You do still get your Brembo calipers. And so overall, guys, when it comes to the side of this F40, it is insane how many vents and the extreme styling of this car is. You do get your Pininfarina badge right here on the side, which is absolutely lovely to see. And it's almost very vague, but you can see right here in between this gap where the little locking pin is for this rear clamshell that lifts up. You do have a little pin right here that helps it stay locked in place. Now moving to the rear of this F40, just an absolutely insane design. Everything's basically all open. You have these fins or vents, if you will, on the top portion, allowing heat from the engine to make its way out. You also have a full open grille back here. Normally you're used to seeing an open grille on the front of the car. With Ferrari, with this F40, also gives it to you in the back, like I said, to help all that air, hot air, just make its way out and to allow you to actually see the engine components. When it comes to being able to see all the mechanical things that are going on with this car, this is probably one of the most opened up cars that I've ever seen. You have this absolutely massive pane of glass right here on the engine for the engine cover. And then you have this full grille area. Just everything is just very, very open. Of course, you get your 4 tail lights right here, all of them with that circular design. Very, very 90s look, however, very beautiful nonetheless. And this particular one also has an aftermarket exhaust. Looks absolutely insane. You do get the center exit with the oval tips on the outside, circular tip in the middle, and you also still get a rear diffuser with this car as well. Although it's not an extra addition, it is made into the actual bodywork, which helps it look all the better. Get your Ferrari badge right here on the center and your third brake light. And it's absolutely massive wing. Now, when it comes to the F40, this wing is probably one of the calling cards that makes you know, okay, if you weren't able to tell by everything else that you see, this massive wing definitely allows you to be able to know. And it's just very, very beautiful. Being integrated into the actual bodywork instead of just being an additional piece like you see with a lot of manufacturers that just add on wings. This one right here, overall, guys, is just absolutely insane. All right, guys, moving to the engine of this F40, you do have a 2.9 liter V8, which is an insanely small displacement for a V8, but it's a 2.9 liter twin turbocharged V8 pushing out right around 471 horsepower, 426 pound-feet of torque. Now, that might not seem like a lot, especially with the insane amount of performance that you're getting out of today's supercars, but this car does only weigh right around 3,000 pounds for the US spec, right around 2,700 pounds for the Euro spec, and so that will push this car to 0 to 60 right around 4.1 seconds, and you also have like a 201 mile per hour top speed. Now, I'm not sure how many of you guys are going to try to go 201 miles per hour in this particular car. However, nonetheless, very insane numbers for the car. Now, it is mated to a 5-speed manual transmission, which is just absolutely beautiful. Anytime you get a manual transmission, especially in a car as special as this, absolutely beautiful. But overall, guys, you guys can see the engine bay completely opened up with this pane of glass, these two massive intercoolers for those turbos, the manifold that they have up there. Just an overall very, very beautiful design, very, very beautiful setup to this F40. All right, guys, now with the interior of this Ferrari being exposed, even though it is just a little over $3 million, I am able to bring it to you guys. Starting out with the seats, you do get these beautiful, almost, they're really cloth, but they are very heavily bolstered, almost bucket sport competition like type seats. Love how they have the little rib design right here in the center. And you do get your 5-speed manual transmission right there in the middle. Absolutely insane. Now, coming to the steering wheel, it is just a very basic steering wheel. You do get your Ferrari logo in the center as well that will act as your horn. And by today's standards, if you were to look at this gauge cluster, it is absolutely laughable at just how analog it is. But you do have a very analog gauge cluster with 220 miles per hour on the dash, if you can believe it or not. Very, very insane setup. Now, you do also have your gauges for telling like your oil temperature, your gas and such right there in the center, as well as a little bit of climate control in the center as well. But overall, very simplistic sort of setup to this whole interior of this car. You do have carbon on the door panel interiors on both sides, and you also have the old school sort of whirl for being able to roll your windows up and down. Haven't seen those in a very, very long time, and many of you guys may not know, but in order for you to actually open the door on your F40, there is a little string right here. They were trying to do their best to save weight, so you pull that string and you're able to open up the door. Just an absolutely insane setup. You guys can see there's a roll cage in the back. The backs of the seats are carbon. Just a very, very beautiful setup to this F40. And with that being said, guys, there is a full review on this very rare Ferrari. Now, they only made just a little over 1,300, and so if you're able to find one, which is a very rare occurrence, it's insane for you to be able to take a look at them, and I'm glad I was able to bring this to you guys. So please make sure that you like, comment, subscribe if you like the content. Let me know what other things you guys would like to see on the channel, as well as your favorite feature about this car. But just like that, guys, I will catch you in the next one. Peace.